Imagine this. You are sitting in a classroom, wishing you could be anywhere else in the world. You have your pencils out and ready as your stomach turns while you try to remember everything you've learned up to this point. You wouldn't be sitting there in that class if it wasn't a requirement. You'd rather be sketching down some ideas, and you know you'll find yourself doodling in the margin. But the time for art never really comes. Teacher never teaches art anymore or assigns art projects. Instead, they're handing out papers as the bell rings. It's time to take another test.
More and more, students today are having to deal with that exact situation as a result of budget cuts to visual and performing art programs due to a focus on standardized testing in core subjects.
What this growing focus promotes is standardization, reduction to a score, a number, for the sake of concise comparison, even an obsession with test taking and scores. But children are more than that, and they are capable of more than that. They're full of imaginations and ideas waiting to get out. But instead, those ideas are stifled, buried until they're forgotten, and that imagination is lost. When most students are doodling in the margin as their only means of drawing in class, then it becomes clear that students are being deprived of necessary creative education and outlets. And it's up to the community to start to help bring a change, not only for the well-being of the students, but for the well-being of the community as a whole.
We took on this problem in our own community through our Senior Capstone Project, Fighters for Art Education, also known as FAE. As witnesses to the arts being pushed aside for standardized testing and other subjects, we started this group as a way to give students more of the creative opportunities that we believe they deserve. 2 times a week, after school, we go to Bede Catholic Elementary School to teach art classes to the elementary and middle schoolers under the supervision of their 8th grade teacher. Even though we both have practiced and pursued art, there are others in our group who don't even take any art classes. Despite this, we all recognize the importance of art education and creative opportunities and are so driven to help in any way in which we can contribute. The students themselves might not realize how important these classes could be for their futures. But what they have told us is that the classes are a lot of fun, especially after a long day at school. In our group, there are 5 people. On the days where only 2 of us can go, it's a little difficult to run the classes, but it's still doable. However, on days where all of us can participate, then the classes go really smoothly and everyone has a lot of fun. What we've learned from this experience is that community is important for change. You don't have to change the world on your own. It always helps to have a group of friends and some determination. Now, making a change outside of school hours doesn't let schools off the hook. It's still our job as a community to stand for our education in the classrooms as well. And this is the problem. It hits us right here at home in California, because since 1995, California's education code requires that the arts be taught from 1st to 12th grade. Activists such as Carl Schaefer, a former principal and teacher, have lobbied for schools to teach the arts and have pointed out the injustice schools are committing by not enforcing the law in favor of spending budget on standardized tests. What may be the biggest problem, though, is that many schools don't even realize that they're breaking the law by setting aside their art classes because it's not enforced by the school districts. This also gives further incentives to schools who do know about the law not to follow it. According to the LA Times, only 35 out of over 700 schools in the LA Unified School District made an A grade when surveyed to see if they met state requirements for art education. And that, of course, is a failing score, by a long shot, and less than 1% of schools actually meet state requirements. Yet, the importance of art education is recognized even within our own government, with Arne Duncan, the former US Secretary of Education, stating that education in the arts is more important than ever. Students who are exposed to the arts tend to have higher attendance, more self-esteem, better test scores, along with a more positive outlook towards their futures. The arts are not only a way for students to express themselves creatively, but they also provide for alternative teaching styles and cultivate critical skills, such as critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity. Inside the classroom, studies have also found a correlation between arts education and math and writing test scores in high school students. Yes, it's those same tests that schools are putting all their focus on,
and students with an art education tend to get better grades. And, as PBS writer Grace Huang Lynch writes, students that are involved in the arts are 4 times more likely to be recognized for academic achievement.
If the goal is high academic achievement, wouldn't you think that it's counterproductive to slash the art programs?
And it extends even further. Doing well in school will lead to doing well in future careers. And art is present in many career paths you might not even realize.
When you think about art, you probably think about painters, maybe animators, and even clothing designers.
While these are important as strictly creative careers to give some relaxation and style to our personal world, art is also applicable in other industries, such as engineering. Architects, for example, need a strong foundation in both mathematics and design. It is the ability to use them both in combination so that they complement one another that makes them successful. The art is just as important as the math.
Even the strictly visually appealing arts have more purpose. Art can help art. When designing a violin, the artist who makes it not only creates a visually stunning piece, but they also have to consider how that design will affect its sound quality.
Or take legal city art, for example, a practical way to not only improve community scenery, but also a way to express important messages that inspire people to go and make changes.
In advertising, such as in TV commercials and billboards, artists have to think about how cinematic shots and pleasing color schemes will affect their viewers' eyes and make them more appealing, so that way they'll want to buy their products.
Behind this shoe, Hussain Bolt's shoe, was an artist. Someone had to come up with a design that not only looked good, but also had the capability of being used by a top-level Olympic athlete.
This is the largest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa, and it's the perfect example of architecture and aesthetics coming together as one.
Even Google has optimized its design to make you more likely to click links and be as accessible to as many people as possible.
As we said before, art helps with critical thinking as it develops creative thinking. Minecraft and Legos are the perfect examples of the unity between art and the practical world.
Minecraft, yes, Minecraft, in particular, has a large art aspect to it because of the popularity of architecture and picture making. And studies have shown that it helps children with creative visual planning and processing. It is something that anyone from a small child to a senior citizen, something that each and every one of you is capable of.
Knowing all this, we can take one step at a time towards a brighter and more creative future.
Imagine a more efficient future, a place where public transport is both attainable and sustainable for the environment. Beautiful cities functioning at maximum efficiency. The air is clean and the water is clean, and pollution is at an all-time low.
Everything from architecture to basic necessities to luxuries are designed with function, aesthetic, and optimization in mind. Cities are plentiful in beautification projects, which serve to unite people through artistic endeavors and education, a society connected through art.
The world, as a whole, can be bettered through art.
Art can be used to promote important global issues, such as ocean pollution. In San Francisco, artists Joel Stockdale and Yusina Solnikova have created a life-size blue whale sculpture made out of plastic waste for the Monterey Bay Aquarium. The sculpture itself is meant to represent the amount of plastic pollution that enters our ocean, which is about 300,000 pounds, or the weight of a blue whale, every 9 minutes. This gives it greater purpose than just being a sculpture of a pretty blue whale. Promoting an important message such as this requires both creative and critical thinking in order to create an effective piece that's also pleasing to look at. The blue whale sculpture is the perfect example of how art and design can aid promoting important global issues, such as ocean pollution.
Art is also at the forefront of the push for alternative energy, another issue the entire world needs to address. Alternative energy public art projects, such as Greeting to the Sun, are becoming more and more popular as both an energy source and as works of art. Artists are also creating more efficient versions of renewable energy generators. For example, artist Nathan Hintz has created a metal wind turbine that is aesthetically pleasing and fashioned to look like a metal pinwheel or a flower. His design is more than twice as efficient as a conventional wind turbine, and by comparison is incredibly cheap. Cheaper energy sources like these are important for underdeveloped countries as they are more affordable and can help improve their lives immensely, and can help bring them closer to the rest of the world. Even in the most developed countries, a switch to these alternative energies is necessary in moving towards a cleaner world, especially with the looming threat of climate change.
Climate change is an issue that's all too relevant in our global community, and artists are doing their job in speaking up to make sure that people are informed about it. One such artist is Eve Mosher. According to the New York Times, she has this to say along with her piece, Liquid City Now and Then. Eve says, artists have the capacity to shape climate communications, solutions, and engagements. We can use our own unique skill sets to heal communities, tackle complex challenges, and even create innovative answers. For me, comprehending the science is the first step in defining a project. Understanding the impacts, predictions, remediation, and adaptation help to ground the work in reality. Her piece, Liquid City Now and Then, represents New York City's urban waterways, now and at the end of the century, which by then are expected to rise by 6 feet. Through her art, she hopes to ignite radical ideas for the future of the waterways, in light of the climate chaos we're facing today.
Art breeds change on both local and global scales. But in order to achieve that change, each and every one of us needs to do our part and work together.
We were able to begin the resuscitation of art education in our community, and so can you.
Whether you go out and volunteer your time at art organizations, museums, or schools, or you start with your own kids or siblings in your own home, you can help start to make a change.
Parents, you can look up fun family art activities online to aid your children's future and do with them on the weekends.
Anyone can go out and donate art supplies to local schools or community centers to give more children the opportunity to draw and color.
Museums are usually open to volunteers to help with their arts programs and exhibits. They also accept donations so that way their exhibits can be open and accessible to everyone.
Most importantly, you can join the fight and rally for your local schools to keep their art programs well-staffed and funded through your time and donations.
Helping to bring art education to your homes and communities aids those aiming to make a change and those they make a change for. Make a change for the world.
The bottom line is that no one changed the world without an idea, without creativity.
Creativity informs innovation. Innovation leads to progress, and progress is the future.
The innovators of tomorrow, who will solve global issues, they'll be artists. Thank you.
Thank you.